Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most dangerous flashpoints in modern geopolitics, a small piece of land that has the potential to ignite a global conflict, an island whose location, history, and symbolism make it one of the most contested places on Earth. It may look peaceful from above, surrounded by blue waters and lush greenery, but beneath that calm surface lies a storm of military strategy, national pride, and global power politics. This is the story of the island that could start World War III. At first glance, it might seem unbelievable that such a small landmass could hold such enormous weight in international affairs. Yet history has shown time and time again that tiny territories can be the spark that sets the world ablaze. This island sits at a critical crossroads where superpowers' ambitions collide, where centuries-old rivalries meet the high-stakes politics of the modern age. It is a place where every move, every speech, and every military drill sends ripples through global markets and raises fears of war. The roots of this tension go far back into the colonial era, when empires drew borders without concern for the local people or geography. Over time, the island became both a symbol and a prize, a reminder of lost glory for some and a vital strategic point for others. In the modern world, it's not just about territory anymore. It's about access to trade routes, control of sea lanes, and the projection of military power. The island's position gives whoever controls it a significant advantage in both defense and offense, making it a military jewel worth fighting for. In today's world, the two main powers contesting this island represent the leading sides of a new kind of Cold War. On one side stands a massive, fast-growing power determined to reclaim what it considers its historical territory. On the other side stands a coalition of nations defending democratic values, free trade, and the balance of power in the region. The island finds itself caught between these two giants, like a pawn on a chessboard, but one that could trigger the fall of kings. For the people who live there, life is tense but proud. They've built advanced cities, strong economies, and vibrant cultures despite constant military threats hovering just beyond the horizon. Fighter jets frequently cross nearby airspace, naval ships patrol the surrounding waters, and cyber attacks attempt to destabilize their systems. Yet the island's population continues to resist, refusing to bend under pressure. For them, it's not just about survival. It's about identity, freedom, and self-determination. Meanwhile, the world watches carefully. Every diplomatic meeting, every naval encounter, every satellite image showing new troop deployments is analyzed and debated by experts across the globe. Military analysts warn that any small miscalculation could set off a chain reaction. A single missile, a mistaken radar signal, or a clash between patrol boats could lead to an escalation no one could control. The modern world's interconnected nature means that if war breaks out here, it won't remain regional for long. The nearby waters are some of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. Trillions of dollars in global trade pass through every year. If a conflict erupts, it would cripple the global economy, disrupt supply chains, and lead to massive inflation across nations. Countries far away from the island would feel the shockwaves instantly. Fuel prices would skyrocket, stock markets would plunge, and major industries could grind to a halt. But it's not only about trade. The island sits in a region rich with natural resources and strategic importance for military logistics. Control over the island means access to key sea routes and nearby regions filled with undersea minerals, gas reserves, and vital communications cables. Whoever holds this ground doesn't just control an island, they influence the entire Indo-Pacific theater. That's why every nearby nation has a stake in what happens here. The United States, Japan, and their allies have long maintained their presence in the region to deter aggression. They conduct freedom of navigation operations, flying aircraft and sailing warships near the contested waters to assert international rights. On the other side, the rival power interprets these actions as provocations and responses escalate. Military drills become more frequent, rhetoric becomes sharper, and both sides increase arms spending. The island, surrounded by these maneuvers, becomes a ticking time bomb. The situation is made even more complex by domestic politics. For some leaders, showing strength over the island is a way to gain popularity at home. For others, defending it represents a moral and strategic duty. This creates a cycle of escalation. One side builds up its forces, the other responds, and the tension mounts again. International diplomacy tries to intervene, but mistrust runs deep. Each side accuses the other of violating agreements or interfering in internal matters. In many ways, technology has amplified the danger. Satellites, drones, cyber warfare, and artificial intelligence have turned modern battlefields into unpredictable arenas. A cyber attack on an island's infrastructure could be mistaken for a prelude to invasion. A hacked radar system could trigger a false alarm. In an age where seconds matter, such misunderstandings could unleash destruction before diplomacy has a chance to act. At the heart of this confrontation lies the question of sovereignty. Who owns the island? Who has the right to govern it? These questions have no easy answers because they involve deep historical, cultural, and political narratives. For one side, it's about restoring lost lands and national pride. For the other, it's about defending democracy, self-rule, and the will of its people. The island becomes a symbol of larger ideals: freedom versus control, democracy versus authoritarianism, independence versus unification. The global response is divided. Some nations support the island's right to self-determination. Others stay silent, afraid to anger the powerful states involved. International organizations issue statements calling for peace and dialogue, but few have the influence to enforce real change. Sanctions, trade restrictions, and military aid packages become tools in a growing shadow war. Each move in this geopolitical chess game brings the world closer to confrontation. Behind closed doors, intelligence agencies, diplomats, and military strategists are constantly assessing scenarios. What if a blockade is declared? What if a foreign ship is sunk? What if air defenses are triggered by accident? The simulations often end in the same grim conclusion: once a conflict starts here, stopping it might be nearly impossible. Allies would be drawn in through defense treaties, and within weeks, multiple continents could be engulfed in war. Yet despite these dangers, diplomacy continues. Secret talks, back-channel communications, and public summits all attempt to cool tempers. Both sides know that an open conflict could destroy decades of progress. The economic interdependence between them is massive. Their industries rely on each other's goods, technologies, and consumers. A war would devastate both economies, yet national pride and political ambitions sometimes outweigh logic. Ordinary citizens across the world watch this tension unfold on their screens, wondering if they are witnessing the slow buildup to another world war. For many, it's a reminder of how fragile peace truly is, how easily it can be shattered by a few missteps. The younger generation, especially those living on the island, have grown up under the shadow of possible invasion. They hold on to hope, but remain vigilant, knowing that the global spotlight could turn on them overnight. Some historians compare this situation to the early 20th century, when alliances, nationalism, and miscommunication dragged the world into World War I. The parallels are alarming. Then, too, no one believed a regional dispute could escalate into a global catastrophe until it did. The island today represents that same dangerous combination of pride, power, and proximity. But there's still a chance to avoid disaster. History doesn't have to repeat itself. The island's future could be shaped by dialogue, respect, and mutual understanding. Both sides could work toward economic cooperation, cultural exchange, and gradual trust building. The global community can play a role in ensuring open communication and preventing accidental escalation. The world has the technology, the intelligence, and the experience to maintain peace if the will to do so exists. The island stands as both a warning and a lesson. A warning that unchecked nationalism and militarization can lead to destruction, and a lesson that peace requires constant effort. It's a reminder that even the smallest piece of land can carry the weight of the world's fate. The waves that crash on its shores echo with the hopes of millions who pray that diplomacy wins over war. Every day that passes without conflict is a silent victory. Every new trade deal, peace talk, and alliance is a step back from the edge. The question remains, how long can this balance last? Can humanity avoid repeating its darkest chapters? Or is the world slowly drifting toward another devastating confrontation? The answers depend not just on the leaders of great powers, but on the voices of ordinary people demanding peace, stability, and reason. As technology advances and nations grow more interconnected, the cost of war has never been higher. A single conflict could cripple global economies, destroy cities, and displace millions. The nuclear shadow still hangs over humanity, ensuring that any large-scale war would not just be fought with tanks and planes, but with weapons capable of ending civilization itself. That's why the stakes around this island are so high. It's not merely a territorial dispute. It's a test of whether the world can coexist in an era of power competition. The island's beauty hides its burden. Tourists who visit sea beaches, temples, and markets, unaware of the radar systems and missile batteries positioned nearby. The locals smile, but they live under constant uncertainty. Their resilience is remarkable, their spirit unbroken. They continue to build, innovate, and thrive while the world debates their fate. Their courage stands as a quiet testament to the human will to survive. In the end, this story isn't just about politics or geography. It's about humanity's ability to learn from its past. The island that could start World War III reminds us that peace is fragile, that power must be balanced by wisdom, and that communication is the only true defense against chaos. The choice between war and peace is still in our hands, but time is not infinite. So as the waves crash against the shores of this contested island, the world holds its breath. The question isn't who will claim it, but whether we'll allow history to claim us once again. The hope is that leaders and nations remember that every war starts with a single spark, and that this one island, no matter how small, should never be the flame that consumes the world.